Discover the heartwarming moment a waitress reveals her mom's ring. Incredible life-changing shock. Sarah stood behind the counter of the bustling diner, the clatter of plates and lively chatter enveloping her like a warm blanket. Her mother's old ring glinted on her finger, a small piece of family history that made her feel tethered to her roots. She poured coffee for a table of well-dressed patrons, their laughter ringing like distant bells. They were from a world where money bought ease, while she struggled to make ends meet for her 2 kids. The warm morning sun streamed in through the window, illuminating the joyful faces around her but leaving her heart heavy with the weight of judgment she often felt. "Can you believe the nerve of this place?" one of the patrons scoffed, clearly referencing the neighborhood she called home. Sarah's heart sank, but she forced a smile, reminding herself that her hard work was building a future. Each day, she poured her heart into every shift, grateful for the chance to provide for her children while striving for a better life. As she served a wealthy couple breakfast, Sarah overheard them talking about a charity gala to benefit her struggling community. Hope sparked in her chest. Could this be her chance? She imagined ways to share her neighborhood's story, to advocate for her home, their laughter drowned out by the rush of potential. But that flame flickered when she overheard a different conversation, whispers of her coworker Michelle, questioning her commitment and accusing her of trying to take the lead. It stung. Sarah had never intended to overshadow anyone. The tension in the diner thickened as her heart raced, revealing the painful reality of her situation. The judgment from the affluent continued, and she felt misunderstood even by her colleagues. How could she rise above, when the world often overlooked her honesty and hard work? Just then, the couple's eyes met hers, and their indifference shifted to something profound. They saw the sweat on her brow and the quiet way she served with dignity. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as Sarah felt like she might lose everything, the couple approached her. They recounted the moments they spent admiring her tenacity and grace. "We want to help," they said, a lifeline tossed into turbulent waters. They proposed a community fund in her mother's name, honoring the legacy that had built Sarah's resilience. The concept felt like a dream, a way to uplift others, yet it terrified her too. Standing there with the weight of her family's sacrifice in one hand and the possibility of change in the other, Sarah faced a pivotal choice. Could she step into a brighter future or fade quietly? She knew the pressure of their world clashing with hers, but she also felt the hope of her mother's spirit buzzing in her heart. Would she let her past define her, or could she rise up and spark change for her neighborhood? With that thought heavy in the air, Sarah inhaled deeply, standing on the edge of everything she ever wanted. Sarah felt her heart pounding in her chest as she processed the couple's offer. A community fund? It was as if someone had opened the window to a brighter world, letting fresh air sweep through the stale struggles that clung to her like a shadow. She glanced at the ring on her finger, feeling her mother's spirit push her forward, encouraging her to take a leap of faith. The diner seemed to fade into the background as she locked eyes with the couple. Their expressions were earnest, a blend of compassion and determination. "We believe in what you represent," the woman said, her tone sincere. "You've opened our eyes to the heart of your community. We want to help you share its beauty." "Thank you," Sarah managed, her voice cracking with emotion. Tears threatened to spill as she realized how vulnerable she felt. She was terrified of failure, but perhaps this was more than an opportunity, perhaps it was destiny. As they discussed the potential fund, Sarah could see the outlines of a plan taking shape. It wasn't just about money, it was about bringing people together, showcasing the talent, the spirit, and resilience of her community. For years, she had worked 3 jobs to keep her head above water, but now, what if she could channel all that energy into a cause greater than herself? Suddenly, she was interrupted by the honk of a horn outside. A man in a suit had just parked his luxury car and stepped out, his cell phone glued to his ear. He shouted into the phone, dismissing the diner with a wave. It was a stark reminder of the world she often felt trapped in. "Do you really think it's possible?" she asked, hesitation creeping into her words. "What if it doesn't work out? What if people don't care?" The couple regarded her quietly, a look of understanding passing between them. "You've already affected change, Sarah, just by being you," the man replied. "This fund can amplify that impact. You just have to believe in it as we do." The words sank into her as she imagined herself standing before a crowd, sharing the stories of her neighbors, their struggles, their laughter, and their dreams. The weight of her past of fear, judgment, and loss shifted, replaced by a flicker of hope. Could she really be the voice for her community? Could she finally shed the doubt that had clung to her for so long? As they discussed practicalities, a new visitor entered the diner, one of her longtime regulars, Mrs. Baker, a feisty older woman with a penchant for jaunty hats. She waved at Sarah, her smile radiating warmth. "What's all this?" she chirped, her eyes twinkling. "You look like you could change the world today." Sarah chuckled, feeling a surge of affection. Maybe Mrs. Baker was right. Maybe today was just the spark she needed to ignite real change. The thought of starting on a new path filled her with both excitement and a tinge of fear. Taking one last deep breath, she made a decision. Turning to the couple, she nodded. "I'll do it. I'll help create the fund." A wave of determination washed over her. This was just the beginning. Before the weight of fear could pull her back, a figure stepped closer, overhearing their conversation. "A fund for the community?" It was Michelle, her voice edged with skepticism but curiosity glimmering beneath it. "Count me in." With surprise blooming in her chest, Sarah's heart raced with a different kind of excitement. Perhaps this was the moment they could turn the tide together. But as reality settled, one burning question bubbled up in her mind: if she opened this door, what exactly would she find on the other side? The energy in the diner shifted, buzzing with a mix of excitement and anxiety. Sarah looked at Michelle, her friend and frequent confidant. In that moment, an unspoken bond formed between them, strengthened by the weight of their shared history and the future they could shape together. Could this venture really bring them closer, or would it ultimately drive a wedge between them? "Are you sure about this, Michelle?" Sarah asked, suddenly aware of the implications. "This is a big commitment." Michelle crossed her arms, her brow furrowing slightly. "Commitment is what we need," she replied, injecting certainty into her words. "This place matters. You matter. We can make a difference." The couple exchanged glances, and the woman leaned forward, her eyes shining. "Exactly. It takes courage, but together you can create something beautiful. You'll find support in unexpected places." As Sarah felt the stir of excitement in her chest, Mrs. Baker shuffled closer, overhearing their conversation. "Count me in as well. I may not have much money, but I know how to rally the troops. We need a bake sale, community meetings, whatever it takes. Everyone has a story to tell." Warmth spread through Sarah as she watched her regulars join in. A chorus of "I'm in" and "Let's do this" erupted around the diner. The atmosphere shifted from skepticism to collective ambition, and she realized they were all hungry for change as much as she was. Okay," Sarah exclaimed, trying to regain control amidst the rising commotion. "Let's slow down for a second." The enthusiasm was infectious, but she knew they needed to lay a solid foundation first. After a moment, she lifted her hands for attention. "We need to establish what we want to accomplish. Can we agree on some core goals? Together." Everyone quieted down, and Sarah felt grateful for their willingness to listen. She began to outline what she envisioned: the stories, the art, the shared experiences that needed to be celebrated. As she spoke, she saw heads nodding and smiles breaking out across the diner. Her pulse quickened as she truly began to believe in this idea. With every word, she could feel the walls she'd built against her dreams beginning to crumble. Suddenly, the front door opened, and in strolled a few familiar faces from the neighborhood. They had caught wind of the excitement and the community fund discussion. "We heard there's a chance to make a difference," one called out, eyes bright with hope, and then, Sarah's heart sank for a moment when she saw Leslie, a former friend from high school who had finished college and appeared to have it all together. Sarah remembered the whispers and the way people compared their paths back in the day. Leslie's presence felt like an old wound that refused to heal. Yet, she couldn't deny the glimmer of admiration she still held. "Hey, Sarah. Is this true?" Leslie approached, her voice laced with curiosity that seemed genuine. "Can I join?" Slowly, Sarah nodded, her throat tight with mixed emotions. Was she ready to let go of her past insecurities and reach across the divide? The support felt necessary, but old shadows lingered. "Absolutely," she replied, pushing down her insecurities. "The more voices, the better. We need everyone." As Sarah stood surrounded by her community, hope coursed through her veins. Her mother's ring felt heavier on her finger, an emblem of forgiveness and change. "Let us not waste any time," she said, her voice steady, igniting the group's resolve yet again. "Together, we can make this happen." But as the crowd buzzed with ideas, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty lurking behind her triumph. What would it mean for her friendships? And could she really set aside old fears to claim her role as a leader? As they began brainstorming, one question lingered in her mind: was she brave enough to face the future, and what would it take to truly unite a fractured past? The energy in the diner hummed with a vibrant mix of anticipation and nervous excitement. As Sarah glanced around, she could see the light in the eyes of those gathered ordinary people who seemed capable of extraordinary change. She took a deep breath and squared her shoulders, feeling the weight of her mother's ring pressing against her skin. It was a tangible reminder of love, courage, and the history woven into her present. "Okay, let us break into smaller groups," she suggested, trying to channel their collective passion into a productive direction. "We need to focus on what we want to achieve and how we're going to get there." The crowd murmured, buzzing with energy. A woman Sarah recognized as Brenda, an artist, stood up. "I can help with getting local artists involved. We could host workshops and exhibitions. We could surround ourselves with creativity." Her enthusiasm lit a fire in the room. "Yes." Michelle chimed in, her confidence infectious. "And I could handle social media. We need to spread the word, share our vision, and get more people involved." Suddenly, Sarah felt a wave of warmth as she witnessed the community come alive. Ideas bounced like playful children, finding their own rhythm. It was beautiful, it was chaotic. The diner had come to life in a way she had only imagined, becoming a canvas painted with hope, but as conversation sparked, Sarah caught an eye of uncertainty. Leslie stood to the side, her expression a mix of interest and hesitation. It tugged at something deep within Sarah, a thread from their shared past, filled with comparisons and missed opportunities. Would Leslie be there to offer genuine support, or would she be another reminder of the failures from years gone by? "Let us assign someone to document our progress," Sarah proposed, determined to incorporate everyone equally. She glanced at Leslie, whose gaze flickered towards the notepad in Sarah's hand. "How about you, Leslie? You've always had a way with words, right?" For a moment, the diner fell quiet. Sarah's heart raced as she awaited Leslie's response. Would this ignited spark of vulnerability bring them closer, or deepen the divide? Leslie hesitated, her fingers fidgeting with her own ring. "Yeah, I guess I could do that. I've missed writing, actually." A light smile surfaced, and Sarah felt her own heart open slightly. Maybe there was room for reconciliation here. "That's great. Let us all do our parts," Sarah said, pulling the group back in. "Our stories matter. Each voice amplifies the message. As discussions continued, Sarah found herself immersed in a flow, the unease gradually altering into excitement. She felt hope blooming, the same way flowers peek through winter snow. Yet, a sliver of worry still clung to her thoughts. Could they navigate through this journey without losing sight of their connections? Suddenly, a loud laugh echoed from the back of the diner. It belonged to Pete, who had just entered with a giant stack of papers. "I've got the permits and forms we need. I'm ready to make this official." The room erupted into applause, laughter ringing through the air like music. In that moment, a wave of emotion washed over Sarah. She felt tears prick beneath her eyelids, not from sadness but from the incredible realization of what they were building together, a community forged in love and determination. She glanced down at her mother's ring, feeling its warmth as strength seeped into her bones. While the group buzzed around her, Sarah's heart raced with excitement and a touch of fear. Could they maintain this momentum? Could they handle the challenges that lay ahead? Her thoughts spun wildly, barely keeping pace with the stirring of emotions, but deep down, she understood one undeniable truth: they were stronger together. As she caught Leslie's eye once more, she knew they could work through their past if they were ready. When the last suggestion was made and laughter filled the space once again, Sarah stood at the forefront with resolve. "This is just the beginning. We'll need to face challenges, and I know it won't always be easy. But change is a journey worth taking." Before she could finish, she suddenly felt a familiar flutter in the pit of her stomach, reminding her of the uncertainty to come. Would they be able to face their fears together? As the room quieted, she caught a glimpse of fear in her own heart. Would they really unite their fractured pasts and build something beautiful? With the weight of so many expectations hanging in the air, she knew this journey was only beginning. And as the final brainstormed idea buzzed with energy, one concern gnawed at her. Would bringing this community together really lead to the support they needed, or might it expose deeper divisions that could tear them apart? The chatter bubbled back to life as ideas flowed. Sarah felt the momentum building, like waves crashing against the shore, each idea a splash of color in their collective canvas. But amidst the laughter and camaraderie, a twinge of doubt tugged at her heart. She wondered about the shadows lurking within the town, secrets hidden between these friendly faces. "Okay, everyone," Sarah called, trying to ground herself as much as the group. "Let us summarize what we've discussed so far." She glanced at Leslie, who was focused on her notepad, scribbling furiously. The more Leslie engaged, the more Sarah felt a flicker of hope, like a candle flame fighting against the wind. Samantha, a school teacher, raised her hand. "I think we should organize a community event to kick things off. Something that invites everyone in." Excitement rippled through the room. Sarah tucked a stray hair behind her ear, adrenaline sparking in her veins. "Like a community festival?" Pete suggested, his smile infectious. "Live music, art displays, local food, something people can look forward to." "Yes!" Brenda shouted, bouncing on her toes. "We could name it Hearts of Our Town. It'll celebrate our history and what we want to build together." The word "together" hung in the air, heavy with promise. But Sarah also felt it as a challenge. The memories of fractured relationships, especially with Leslie, pressed against her like a barrier. Would they really be able to tackle their past while forging a future? With each proposal, the walls around her heart seemed to thrum in alarm. "Let us also assign roles," Michelle suggested, pulling out her phone. "We can create a timeline and divide tasks. There's a lot to do, but if we all collaborate exactly. A mosaic, each piece unique but creating something beautiful as a whole," Sarah added, feeling excited as she spoke. The visual of their festival held promise, a light flickering in the distance, slowly illuminating the path ahead, but just then, an awkward silence fell over the group. Eyes shifted to Leslie, who was still seated. Leslie began, and her voice wavered, catching Sarah's attention with a firm tug of emotion. "I'd like to help out, but I'm not really sure my past mistakes here wouldn't get in the way." Sarah's heart raced with empathy. The weight of misunderstanding loomed large, like a heavy fog wrapping around them. She stepped closer to Leslie, noting the glint of her ring, a small mirror of Sarah's own. We all have things we're working through. But this is a new start for all of us. Let us talk about those mistakes instead of letting them divide us. Leslie nodded, unsure yet hopeful. Maybe I can share my story too, she offered tentatively. Sarah's heart surged. Could this really be a turning point for both of them? The atmosphere shifted as the group rallied around Leslie, determined to support her through every step. Arms linked, hands grasped, and hesitant smiles bloomed. Sarah could sense the magic weaving through the air, like the first strands of sunlight breaking through heavy clouds, but it was simultaneously unsettling. Merging passions with painful pasts was no effortless task. Would this fragile unity last, or would it shatter at the first hint of turbulence? Deep down, Sarah feared what might unfold. As the group delved into planning, laughter and chatter returned, but Sarah felt a need to voice her unease. Just remember, she cautioned, we need to lean on each other when times get tough. We can't let misunderstandings lead us to retreat. And with that declaration, a powerful sense of resolve settled over Sarah. But that gnawing doubt twisted in her gut. Was she ready for the emotional roller coaster ahead? Would facing their shared truths bring them closer, or push them further apart? As they dove into brainstorming once more, Sarah felt the pull of uncertainty looming. They hadn't just committed to an event, they were embarking on a journey through their tangled pasts. And who knows where that path might lead? Would they blossom as a community, or would its roots be too intertwined with pain? As excitement crackled, Sarah glanced at Leslie, her heart in knots. Would they truly find a way to blossom in the face of their histories, or were they about to open wounds that might never heal? As the meeting continued, Sarah watched as the lively discussions unfolded around her. Ideas collided and merged, a beautiful chaos creating a vision that seemed almost tangible. Yet, her thoughts were still tethered to Leslie. Shouldering the weight of her past felt heavy in the air, but also strangely familiar. Sarah had been there, feeling buried beneath secrets of her own. Let us focus on the festival, everyone. Michelle's voice broke through Sarah's thoughts. We need to gather the right materials, get the permits. Wait, Sarah interrupted, her pulse quickening. The excitement in the room dimmed slightly as heads turned to her. What if we also added a storytelling segment? People could share their experiences, their roots. Leslie's eyes widened. You mean like an open mic? Exactly. Sarah felt a rush of enthusiasm. We could create a space where everyone's voice matters. It could help heal some of those old wounds. That's brilliant. Pete exclaimed, already jotting down notes. Imagine stories of love, loss, growth, all weaving together. It would make the event even more meaningful. The idea resonated through the room, but Sarah's heartbeat didn't slow. Would people truly open up, or would they shy away? Could vulnerability be a bridge to foster unity, or would it expose deeper rifts? I can share my story, Leslie offered, her voice unwavering now. It might be scary, but if it helps others, I'm willing. The group nodded, visibly reassured by her courage. Sarah felt a swell of admiration for Leslie. This was a huge step, not only for her but for the community. It shined a light on the very process they were committing to. As they began breaking down responsibilities, Leslie leaned into Sarah, her expression earnest. Thank you for encouraging me. I didn't think I could. Sarah smiled, her heart warming. We're all in this together. That's what matters. The meeting flowed with renewed energy, laughter rising like a chorus. Ideas bounced around the room like fireflies in the warm night. But another feeling also flared in Sarah, a prickling anxiety nudged at the back of her mind. What if the story shared turned painful? What if it brought forth the darkness they were trying to escape? As discussions wound down, a thought lingered. Would the festival be a genuine celebration of togetherness, or merely a mask for the fractures still embedded in their lives. With each responsibility assigned, the list grew, and so did Sarah's hope. Yet, it was tinged with an awareness of the potential upheaval lying in wait. They had embarked on this journey, yes, but the emotional terrain was uncharted. Every step forward could also mean stumbling over memories neither had been prepared to confront. Suddenly, as people began to disperse, a shadow fell over her bubbling excitement. She looked around the room, at everyone laughing and chatting, but part of her felt distant. The vision of unity was appealing, yet how many of these neighbors would truly lay bare their truths when the moment arose? "Hey, Sarah?" Samantha called out, breaking her thoughts once again. "What's bothering you? You seem in another world." "Just thinking about the stories," Sarah replied, hesitating. "And how important it is for us to be ready for whatever comes. Sharing can be tough." "True," Leslie added softly. "But sometimes, it's worth it. Sharing also has the power to heal." Sarah nodded but could still feel her inner doubts. She glanced at the door, suddenly aware that they were standing at the precipice of something life-changing. They had opened a door, but what lay beyond was murky with uncertainty. Now, as excitement bubbled alongside apprehension, would they cling to the light or get lost in the dark? And with that thought hanging in the air, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling this was only the beginning. There were more revelations to come, and she sensed an impending moment that might change everything they believed about community and reconciliation. Would they be strong enough to embrace what awaited them? The next weeks passed in a blur of planning and organizing, buzzing with a palpable energy that seemed to occupy every corner of Sarah's life. The story-sharing segment began to take shape, and as invitations went out, Sarah's excitement grew alongside her anxiety. They had booked the local park for the festival, a wide-open space where families often gathered, and it felt significant. Sunlight filtered through the trees, illuminating the patch of earth that would soon pulse with stories. Sarah spent her evenings crafting flyers and collecting RSVPs. Each response brought a mix of eagerness and trepidation. Who would stand beneath the open sky and share their truth? Each name listed felt like a whisper, carrying the promise of vulnerability, yet she wondered if they were ready. One afternoon, while she was taping flyers in a nearby coffee shop, Leslie strolled in, her face alight with determination. "I've asked my aunt to join us," she announced, breathless with excitement. "She has an incredible story about overcoming loss. I just know it'll resonate with so many." "That's amazing, Leslie." Sarah's heart swelled at Leslie's enthusiasm. The more people who joined in, the more the fabric of the community could be woven with shared experiences. But beneath the joy flickered another wave of uncertainty. "Do you think everyone will be as brave as you?" Sarah questioned gently, her brow furrowing. "What if people hold back?" Leslie took a deep breath, a knowing look crossing her face. "Sometimes, all it takes is one person to take the leap. It can encourage others to do the same. Trust me." As the days turned into a week, the anticipation transformed into a tangible presence, pulsing in and out of Sarah's thoughts like an echoing drumbeat. An urge to call those she hadn't spoken to in a while grew stronger. She reached out to a few people she knew harbored stories of resilience. Their responses varied, some eager, others hesitant, but every conversation pushed her closer to the edge of what this festival could mean for each of them. Finally, the day of the festival dawned bright and cheerful, the early sun casting long shadows across the park as vendors set up tents and families began to trickle in. Sarah stood at the entrance, her heart racing. The air smelled of popcorn and sunblock, laughter intermingling with the crackling sounds of energy that crackled like static. As people gathered around the stage for the opening remarks, Sarah caught sight of Leslie. She was engaged in a spirited conversation with a group of neighbors, her energy drawing them in like a light. Sarah felt a warm surge of hope. Perhaps this was what they needed, a collective embrace, a shared journey. Just as the festival was about to begin, a voice broke through the crowd, shaky yet bold. "Excuse me," a woman stepped forward, holding a small velvet box. "I know this isn't the right time, but I have something to share." The murmurs hushed as all eyes turned to her. In that electric moment, Sarah's heart skipped a beat. Who was this woman? Why did she feel so familiar? The woman opened the box, revealing a delicate ring with a shimmering stone. This was my mother's. Today feels like a good day to pass it on, to the one person I forgot to thank. Gasps washed through the crowd, and as the woman spoke, Sarah noticed the ripple of emotion spreading outwards, connecting each person around her. It felt as if raw, collective vulnerability had just broken through. In that swirling moment, Sarah realized this festival was more than just an event, it was the beginning of something greater, a tapestry of shared stories waiting to unravel. As laughter and tears blended, she turned to Leslie, a smile stretching across her face, but her heart raced with anticipation. What more would unfold today? What stories were waiting to be told, hidden just beneath the surface? And as the first story was shared, the weight of that question loomed large: how would they all respond when faced with the deeper truths of one another? The crowd hung on the woman's every word as she recounted the story behind the ring. It had belonged to her mother, who was a waitress for over 30 years, serving customers with a warmth that left a lasting impression. She always said that every person who walked through the door was carrying their own story, a burden or a joy, the woman explained, her voice wavering yet strong. This ring is a reminder to share those stories, to connect. Today, I want to honor that, and all of you. A gentle murmur spread through the crowd. Sarah felt a knot form in her throat. She looked around, noticing the glistening eyes of those listening, each reflecting a fragment of their own tales. It was as if the festival had, in an instant, woven together a tapestry of shared existence. Then, in an unexpected burst of spontaneity, Leslie stepped forward. "I'd like to share something too," she said, nervously shifting her weight from one foot to the other, yet her determination shone through. "My grandmother had a similar belief in stories. She'd say they are what connect us. So I'll go next." The crowd cheered her on, and Sarah couldn't help but feel a swell of pride for her friend. It was happening, the momentum was building. Leslie took a deep breath and began, her voice growing steadier with each sentence. She spoke about loss and the deep-rooted connections that came in the wake of grief. The way her grandmother's words had guided her through tough times, making her feel seen and understood. Near the end of her story, she glanced at Sarah, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. Sarah felt herself tearing up as the realization struck her: Leslie, with her courage, was doing exactly what they both had hoped. The shared experience was unfolding like petals blooming in spring. As Leslie finished, applause erupted. The energy in the park buzzed with an electrifying sense of kinship, encouraging others to step forward. Various voices began to rise, weaving together the chaotic but beautiful chorus of the day. One by one, stories emerged, each unique yet bound by the threads of human experience. As the hours flew by, laughter danced around the park, intertwined with poignant moments of reflection. A father shared how he battled addiction and found solace through his children's laughter, while a teenager spoke about her struggles with identity, revealing how she found strength in supporting others. Amidst all the stories, serendipity struck again when Sarah spotted someone from her past, Katie, a girl she hadn't seen since high school. Their eyes met, and the years melted away. Katie had been so quiet back in school, always on the sidelines. What would she share now? Encouraged by the atmosphere, Katie stepped forward, her hands trembling slightly. "It's taken me so long to find my voice," she started, her face flushed but determined. "But I want everyone to know it's okay to take time finding who you are." The crowd listened intently, and for the first time, Sarah felt Katie's unguarded strength. As the sun began to set, the golden hour cast a warm glow over the park, and it felt like magic, like they had uncovered a hidden wealth of stories longing to break free. The energy was palpable, a reminder of their shared humanity. Just as the festival was reaching its crescendo, a chilling wind swept through unexpectedly, making Sarah shiver. She caught a glimpse of that woman again, the one with the velvet box. Was she signaling someone? What was brewing beneath the surface of this festival? Something told her that there was more to discover. Who else still needed to share their story? And what unexpected truths might unravel as this journey continued? Just as the applause for Katie's story lingered in the air, a low rumble of thunder rolled overhead. The crowd shared nervous glances, the atmosphere shifting from celebratory warmth to a sense of foreboding. Sarah's brow furrowed, her heart racing with anticipation. What was about to unfold? The woman with the velvet box stepped forward again, her presence commanding the crowd's attention. "Thank you all for your stories," she began, her voice smooth yet filled with an undercurrent of urgency. "Your words are the reason I brought this festival together." Everyone leaned in closer, a collective breath held. The woman opened the velvet box slowly. Inside, resting on soft crimson fabric, lay an intricately designed silver ring. It sparkled under the fading sunlight, drawing gasps from the onlookers. "This ring," she continued, raising it slightly, "is more than just an heirloom, it's a legacy. My mother wore this while serving her own stories with every meal. It brought hope to those who saw it." Her eyes scanned the crowd, landing on faces illuminated by curiosity. Sarah felt a pull inside her chest. Maybe it was her own need for connection, her own story waiting to be told. As the woman spoke, a realization struck her. There was something special about that ring. Something that stirred memories deep within her own heart. "Today," the woman said, "I invite anyone who feels moved to share their story associated with a ring or a legacy. Let us build our community here, layer by layer." The crowd rippled with energy, and then, as if a dam had burst, several hands shot up eagerly. Each person who followed brought forth personal tales: an engagement ring, a grandmother's bracelet, each story rich with love, loss, and hope. Laughter, tears, and empathy mingled together, creating a symphony of shared humanity. Leslie stood beside Sarah, leaning closer. "What do you think? Should we share something?" Sarah hesitated for a moment, but the urge to speak bubbled within her. "Yeah. Why not?" She took a breath and stepped forward, the echoes of her past gasping behind her like a dense fog. I have a story connected to a ring too." The words felt foreign on her tongue, but the nods and encouraging whispers from the crowd gave her strength. "It was my grandmother's wedding ring. I wear it now, and every day I feel her love with me." Her voice trembled slightly but steadied as she continued. She always believed in the power of resilience and love. Whenever life knocked her down, she would say, "Find your spark. It'll guide you home." And that's what I'm trying to do today. The crowd was transfixed, connecting with her every word. She glanced back at Leslie, who smiled encouragingly. Just then, the woman with the box raised the ring once more. "A piece of jewelry can hold stories we didn't even know existed. Who else feels inspired to share?" Sarah felt a thrilling rush as more hands shot up. But then, she noticed Katie again, her eyes wide with determination. "I want to share something too." Katie's voice rang out, lit with newfound fire. Suddenly, the wind shifted, swirling the leaves above them, carrying the scent of rain closer. Sarah sensed a shift, as if the ground they had all been standing on was moving towards deeper revelations and raw truths they had yet to uncover. As Katie stepped forward, her face glowed with courage. But just before she began, could Sarah feel the ring's power channel something dormant within her? What would her heart reveal when the stories continued to unfurl, entwining their lives through a legacy of hope and connection? As the moment teetered on the edge of vulnerability, the world held its breath, waiting for what lay ahead. Katie's voice trembled, but determination sparkled in her eyes. "I want to share about a ring, too. It belonged to my great-grandmother, who fled her home and started anew. She often said that her strength came from the love and support of her family, even when they were far apart." Her words flowed like a river breaking free, and the crowd listened intently, enraptured by the tale of resilience. As Katie spoke, something magical happened. Others began to join in, each voice a colorful thread weaving into the fabric of a shared narrative. The air crackled with palpable energy, emotions swirling in the warm breeze. One by one, people stepped forward to break the silence, cloaking their stories. A woman shared about a family heirloom locket that held pictures of those she lost, and how it helped her remember they were always with her. An older gentleman spoke of a ring from his late wife, a symbol of their enduring love even in the face of hardship. Each story resonated within the hearts of everyone gathered, amplifying the feelings that connected them all. In that moment, Sarah understood that this festival was not just a day of celebration, it was a rebirth, a coming together of broken pieces to create something beautiful. Tears brimmed in her eyes as a wave of warmth enveloped her with the knowledge that they were all in this together. Their laughter, their sorrows, their joys woven together like a tapestry, rich with experiences. As the stories continued to flow, Sarah felt an urge to step forward again. The audience seemed to sense her hesitance. She took a deep breath, feeling her grandmother's ring firmly against her skin. It reminded her of their unwavering spirit, urging her onward. "I keep a piece of my family South history close," Sarah began, her voice steadying as she found courage within. "My mother worked tirelessly and wore her wedding ring every day, no matter how hard life got. It symbolizes the love she poured into our family." She paused, looking down at the ring, a symbol of connection and hope. "And just like her, I want to lift up every voice in our community. We all have stories, and they matter more than we realize. Today, we are not just sharing words, we are embracing our shared humanity." The crowd erupted in applause, a wave of solidarity washing over them. Even in the face of their pain, there was a fierce connection forged in love, resilience, and understanding. It felt like layers of old pain were shedding, making room for something powerful, something that could sprout wings and fly. With the sun beginning to set, the golden light shining down felt ethereal. People shifted closer, sharing glances filled with empathy, and Sarah could feel the pent-up emotions releasing like confetti, swirling joyously in the air. Just as they all reveled in the moment, dark clouds gathered ominously above, and a distant rumble of thunder pierced the celebratory atmosphere. A flicker of uncertainty spread through the crowd. Sarah instinctively felt a pulse of unrest echoing from her heart, but she refused to let doubt overshadow the momentum they had created. "Let us not shrink back," she called out, her voice firm. "Together we've built this community, and together we will face every storm that comes our way." Her proclamation resonated deeply, and cheers erupted once more. The connection spiraled outward, each person around her nodding, embodying a spirit of unity. Then, just as she thought they would face the storm with renewed strength, the first drops began to fall, plinking on the ground like nature's applause. But instead of retreating, laughter erupted. People began to use the rain as an invitation to dance, to twirl and embrace the moment, allowing joy to wash over them. The celebration turned into a joyous gathering. They gathered under the park's large trees, singing, and sharing the warmth of community amid the rain. Families, friends, and strangers were joined together, sharing laughter and coming together like threads in a quilt. As Sarah twirled in the rain, she looked around at the joyful faces, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. They had spoken their truths, faced their fears, and found strength through connection. The shadows of doubt and uncertainty had begun to lift, giving way to a horizon full of possibilities. In those moments of joy, as the festival continued despite the rain, Sarah felt her mother's spirit envelop her. With each drop that fell, she felt lighter, unburdened by the past, ready to shape the future with love and community at its core. She finally understood one undeniable truth: they weren't just building a community fund, they were creating a legacy, one filled with stories, connection, and the incredible power of change forged through unity. And as they danced beneath the rain, Sarah felt certain that this was only the beginning of an extraordinary journey they would embark on together. As the night turned to dawn, she turned to those around her, the friends, the neighbors, the newfound camaraderie, and thought one last pivotal thought: what if this journey could inspire others far beyond their small town? As that thought settled in her heart, Sarah knew that courage, fueled by love, was the ultimate revolution. And just like her mother's ring, it would symbolize something everlasting. Before they wrapped up for the evening, Sarah shouted above the joyful noise: "Let us keep this momentum going. We started something beautiful. Who's with me? A resounding cheer echoed back. They were a community now, ready to face every storm together, and just as the last rays of sunlight pierced through the rain-drenched clouds, Sarah sealed her mother's legacy, ready to rise and shine. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.